Chapter 1. After a car accident, Lisa lost her memory. She remembered everyone, except Nicole Sun. It wasn't until her best friend Nicole Sun had stayed by her side for a few days and realized that Lisa truly didn't recall that name, that her expression shifted dramatically. Lisa, it's just the two of us here right now. Tell me the truth, is this your new tactic of playing hard to get? Trying to get my brother's attention? Lisa was confused. Her eyes filled with surprise. No, I really don't remember. Who is he? You're not lying to me? Then swear it. Faced with doubt, Lisa didn't hesitate and immediately made a solemn vow. Seeing that Lisa Sue dared to swear such an oath, Nicole looked as if she had been struck by lightning and suddenly shook her shoulders hard. You seriously lost your memory, and the only person you forgot is my brother? Lisa didn't understand what was so shocking about it and couldn't help but ask. Who exactly is Joel? Nicole's expression turned complicated. She looked at Lisa with a headache-inducing helplessness, then had no choice but to explain bit by bit. Joel is my brother. Back in the day, you came over to my house and fell for him at first sight. You chased after him for a whole 7 years. Listening to Nicole's lengthy account, Lisa's mind went completely blank. So is he my boyfriend now? Nicole looked a bit awkward. No, my brother's always been cold to you. He has someone he likes. Not only did he reject you, but he also turned down all his admirers. His heart belongs only to his first love, Zoe. When they broke up back then, he drank himself into the hospital, almost lost his life. He's never gotten over it all these years. And this time, it was because he was going to pick Zoe up. She just returned from overseas, and he left you alone on the highway in the pouring rain. That's how you got into the accident and lost your memory. Those few sentences left Lisa utterly speechless, her expression filled with disbelief and complexity. So what you're saying is, your brother was always cold to me, already liked someone else, and even hurt me for her. Then what did I ever see in him? Are you sure you're not lying to me? How could I lie about this? Everyone knows how obsessed you were with my brother. Nicole Sun shook her head and quickly handed Lisa her phone. Lisa took it skeptically, keyed in a familiar string of numbers, but couldn't unlock it. Your password isn't your idol's birthday anymore, it's my brother's, 0715. Following Nicole's prompt, Lisa successfully unlocked the phone. As soon as she opened the photo gallery, thousands of photos of a man she didn't recognize flooded the screen. She stared at that handsome, speechless face for a long time before realizing Nicole might actually be telling the truth. Because Joel's looks were exactly her type. But in every candid photo taken from different angles, his gaze toward her was cold and completely devoid of warmth. The more she looked, the more suffocated she felt. She then opened the Notes app. Inside were countless entries related to Joel Sun, his likes, his dislikes, his taboos, and on top of that, there were daily diary entries, heartfelt records of her unrequited love. 7th Valentine's Day. Spent half a month rehearsing my confession over and over, only to be rejected again as expected. Joel, you say we'll never work out, but I still can't let go. You got drunk again today and mistook me for her. Called her name hundreds of times. You said you couldn't forget her. Even knowing you'd never get a response, you still wanted to wait. Like a moth drawn to a flame. In that moment, I realized we're the same. Equally pitiful, equally pathetic, even without her memories. The pain and heartbreak in those words struck a chord in Lisa Sue. It felt like a blade had pierced her chest, bringing wave after wave of dull, endless pain. Her nose stung. Her eyes welled up with tears. She stood frozen, unable to calm down for a long time. The hospital room was quiet for a while before Nicole finally spoke. So, what do you plan to do now? Keep seeking treatment? My uncle's a top psychiatrist, but he's overseas right now. If you forget it, even though I don't remember anything, I can still feel how painful it must have been to like your brother. Maybe forgetting is a blessing. Lisa took a deep breath, then bowed her head and deleted all the photos and notes. Nicole stared at her, stunned, just about to say something when her phone suddenly rang. After hanging up the call, she grabbed her bag and rushed out, leaving behind just one sentence. I've got something to deal with at home. Lisa, get some rest. I'll come see you again after I'm done. Bang, the door closed. Just as Lisa was about to rest, the house phone rang. Lisa, didn't Mom mention before that you had an arranged engagement from childhood? It's been postponed for years. Have you thought it over yet? Mrs. Su had already prepared herself for a rejection. This call was simply a final try. But after a few seconds of silence, Lisa unexpectedly agreed. Sure, Mom. Once I've taken care of things here, I'll go back and honor the engagement. Mrs. Su was stunned on the other end, her voice filled with disbelief. What did you say? You don't like your best friend's brother anymore? You insisted on staying in J City all these years for him, chased after him endlessly, and now you're suddenly over it? Lisa didn't know how to explain the memory loss, nor did she want to worry her family about the accident. After careful thought, she gave a vague response. I don't like him anymore, and I never will again. Chapter 2. After ending the call, Lisa roughly estimated how long it would take her to settle everything, then booked a plane ticket to return to L City in 15 days. Right after purchasing the ticket, a nurse arrived to inform her it was time for her follow-up examination. She sat down in her wheelchair, and just as she rolled through the doorway and looked up, she saw a face that was all too familiar. Joel. She had just seen that face in the photo album. The moment he spotted her, Joel's expression grew even colder, his gaze turning into a frostbitten chill. How did you know I was here? Did you really have to follow me all the way to the hospital too? Lisa hadn't expected her first encounter with Joel after losing her memory to happen under these circumstances. Even less did she expect him to show such visible disgust toward her. It took her a moment to collect herself before responding. You're mistaken. I didn't follow you. I had a traffic accident on the highway recently, that's why I'm hospitalized. Joel frowned and looked her over, about to say something else, when someone suddenly walked out of his hospital room. He immediately turned and went to meet the person. Zoe, your fever just went down. I told you to rest. Why are you out here? At the sound of that name, Lisa instinctively turned around and saw Zoe, dressed in a flowing white gown, her long hair falling to her waist. Their eyes met briefly, and Zoe smiled softly, looking at Joel with a hint of surprise. It was too stuffy in the room, so I came out for a bit of fresh air. Joel. And who's this? Joel's eyes darkened slightly. My sister's friend, a designer at the company. Lisa Su. We're not close. Hearing that, Zoe's smile deepened, her tone still gentle. Miss Su. Nice to meet you. I'm Zoe. Is your head bandaged like that because of an accident? Lisa nodded. Yes. I was in a car crash, a mild concussion and a bit of memory low. Before she could finish, a nurse's voice suddenly called out from behind. Patient in bed 1124. Lisa! It's time for your examination. Hearing this, Lisa no longer felt like making small talk with people she didn't even remember. She quickly said her goodbyes and wheeled herself away to her exam. But those who stayed behind couldn't help but watch her leave in surprise. Joel furrowed his brows at her cold, detached demeanor, something he wasn't used to seeing from her. Wasn't she always clinging to him every time they met? And now she just left, just like that? After finishing her routine tests, Lisa went to the pharmacy to collect her medication. Passing by the garden downstairs, she saw the lovely weather and decided to enjoy the sunlight. Strolling around by herself, just as she reached the fountain, Zoe appeared, walking right toward her. Miss Su? Out for some air too? What a coincidence. Lisa was also surprised to see her again but greeted her politely. Zoe was quite friendly, and before long, she had taken over pushing Lisa's wheelchair, her voice bright and cheerful. Joel got a call and stepped away for a bit. I was feeling a little bored on my own. Why don't we chat? Since you're Nicole's friend and you've worked with Joel for so many years, I've been meaning to ask you something. When I was abroad, I heard about a girl who chased Joel for 7 years without giving up. Do you know who she is? And how did Joel feel about her? Lisa tensed up for a brief moment but quickly returned to calm, replying in a composed voice. I don't know, but if someone chased him for 7 years and he still only had eyes for you, then it's clear, you're the one who matters most to him. The others don't matter. Chapter 3. Zoe seemed genuinely surprised by how confidently she spoke. Her tone softened, tinged with shyness. You know about me and Joel's son? Does he talk about me often? Lisa remembered what Nicole had said about how much he loved Zoe and nodded slightly. Yes. Zoe's cheeks flushed, her eyes filled with delight. Joel was a year ahead of me in school, a campus legend with countless admirers. But he fell for me at first sight and chased me relentlessly. I finally agreed to give it a try. Once we got together, he doted on me endlessly, attending classes together, studying in the library, covering the campus in roses for our anniversary. He'd sulk for days if someone else confessed to me. We dated for 4 years. Everyone said I was the love of his life. He told me countless times that he'd marry me after graduation. But I didn't want to be just a housewife. I had dreams to chase. So I turned down his proposal and went abroad. We broke up. But I knew all these years he never got over me. That's why I came back. When the plane landed in J City, I was nervous. But the moment I saw him rushing through the rain to the airport and taking my luggage, I knew nothing had changed. I caught a cold from the climate shift, and he's been taking care of me these days. I can feel he wants to get back together, but he never brings it up. I thought maybe he had feelings for that girl, so I wanted to ask you. Lisa listened quietly as she reminisced about their past, but inside, she felt nothing. Instead, she smiled. If he cares that much about you, he probably doesn't want to rush into things. Maybe he's planning a surprise. Zoe's heart settled at that. She waved to say goodbye, but accidentally dropped her phone into the pond. She instinctively bent down to grab it, but lost her balance and fell straight into the water. Lisa froze for a second, then immediately turned her wheelchair to call for help. But before she could go far, Joel came sprinting over, diving into the water without hesitation and pulling Zoe out. As Zoe coughed up water and her breathing stabilized, the worry on Joel's face finally eased. Lisa had witnessed his every reaction. She was about to call for a doctor when Joel's voice rang out, harsh and sharp. You pushed Zoe into the water, didn't even try to save her, and now you're pretending nothing happened? Lisa Sue hadn't expected him to accuse her like this. She dropped her phone and fell in while trying to get it. I didn't push her, and I wasn't going to just walk away. Joel cut her off coldly. Dropped her phone? I leave for a minute, and she just happens to fall into the pond while you're there? Who else could it be if not you? Without waiting for a response, he pushed Lisa, wheelchair and all, into the water. Voice like frost. Lisa, out of respect for Nicole, I tolerated your constant pestering before, but Zoe is my bottom line. Since you don't know your place, you'll pay the price for what you've done. He called in bodyguards to block off the area, forbidding anyone from approaching. Cold water surged into Lisa's nose and mouth, choking her painfully. She thrashed alone in the pool, the wound on her leg splitting open again, blood dyeing the water red. Her strength slowly drained away, racked with pain. Her whole body trembled as she sank into the depths. In her fading consciousness, the last thing she saw was Joel walking away with Zoe in his arms. She didn't know how much time had passed. When she opened her eyes again, it was to Nicole Sun's worried gaze. I was gone just a few hours. How did you fall into the pool? The doctor said if you were rescued even a minute later, you might not have woken up. You scared me to death. Remembering what happened before she passed out, Lisa fell silent. She wanted to tell Nicole everything, but then she remembered Joel was her brother. And just like that, she held her tongue. She shook her head lightly, her voice weak and weary. I'm fine. Don't worry. Chapter 4. Nicole's eyes reddened immediately. Though she didn't say much, she stayed by Lisa's side in the hospital for the next few days. During that time, she brought up Joel several times, casually yet clearly trying to gauge Lisa Sue's thoughts. Lisa, knowing my brother, if someone else had confessed to him as many times as you did, he would have done everything to drive them away. But he tolerated you for years. He must have had some feelings for you, even if he didn't realize it himself. Are you really not going to try to remember him? If Lisa had heard that right after waking up, she might have believed it. But after the incident with the pond, she now saw such words as nothing but self-deception. She showed Nicole the photos their co-workers had sent over, shots of Joel and Zoe shopping, dining, and going to the movies. Her voice was as calm as still water. He only tolerated me for your sake, Nicole. The fact that I forgot everything related to him must mean we weren't meant to be. Now that the person he's been waiting for is back, it's time I let go of a love that was never going to end well. Seeing that Lisa had truly made peace with it, Nicole didn't try to persuade her anymore. She just sighed deeply. Sigh. More than anyone, I wished my brother would come to his senses and be with you. Then you'd be my sister-in-law, and we'd never have to be apart. But since you've decided to give up, I won't force it. From now on, I'll stay out of my brother and his first love's mess. You and I will always be best friends." Lisa nodded firmly and pulled her into a gentle hug. The two chatted in whispers for a while longer. Then Nicole went to handle Lisa's discharge and brought her out to the car. "You've been cooped up in the hospital for too long. You must be sick of it. I've organized a get-together. Invited some friends to celebrate your discharge." Thinking it might be her last time seeing these people, Lisa agreed and followed her to the club. But when they arrived at the private room and pushed open the door, both women were stunned. There, seated in the center, were Joel and Zoe. Nicole looked shocked. "Brother? What are you doing here?" The friends who had helped organize the gathering spoke up as they pulled the two inside. "Didn't you say the more, the merrier? I figured I'd invite Brother Sun too. And he brought Zoe along. Isn't this lively enough?" Nicole stared wide-eyed at the speaker. Lisa Sue understood what she was worried about and quickly pulled her aside. "It's fine, they're already here. Besides, I don't remember the past anymore, it won't hurt." Nicole Sun finally let it go and guided her to a seat. All evening, though the room was buzzing with noise, the atmosphere remained subtly tense. Joel Sun draped his jacket over Zoe's shoulders, blocked drink after drink offered to her, and even peeled fruit for her, feeding it to her himself. Every move was intimate, indulgent, and made no attempt to hide how much he adored her. Lisa watched quietly. Her chest felt a little heavy, but not painful. Perhaps forgetting those memories had truly been a blessing. Nicole, however, thought Lisa was upset. She quickly rallied a group to play party games, trying to distract her. Lisa was on a winning streak, taking 10 rounds in a row before finally losing one, and the others clamored for a penalty. She didn't feel like doing anything silly, so she picked truth or dare. All eyes in the room began to shift between her and Joel, voices buzzing with excitement. "All right then, tell us about the most unforgettable love you've ever had." At those words, Lisa hadn't even spoken yet, but Joel's expression had already darkened. He glanced at her instinctively, eyes filled with cold warning. Lisa understood it was a silent order not to say anything in front of Zoe Chan. But now, with no memories and no lingering attachment, she could only offer a few vague lines to appease the crowd. "The most unforgettable was probably my first love. He was my best friend's older brother. I think it was love at first sight. I wrote him piles of love letters and printed albums full of candid photos. Everyone knew how deeply I loved him, but he never felt the same." She said it all with a candid smile. Yet silence fell over the room like a heavy curtain. Zoe, who had been observing coldly, sensed something and tugged on Joel's sleeve. "Joel, you and Miss Sue." Joel's heart clenched. He held her hand tightly and denied it flatly. "There's nothing between us." From beginning to end, it was all just one-sided. Delusional infatuation on her part. Chapter 5. Word by word. His tone was firm and absolute, leaving no room for doubt. Then, without another moment of hesitation, he took Zoe's hand and turned to leave, walking away in front of everyone's eyes. The stares that followed in the room were full of sympathy and pity. Nicole, who had remained silent until then, finally couldn't hold back anymore. She rushed out. Lisa realized what Nicole was about to do and hurried after her, only to witness the siblings arguing in the garage. "Lisa is my best friend. Why did you have to humiliate her in front of so many people? She's liked you for so many years. Couldn't you show her a little kindness for the sake of her feelings? I tolerated her for 7 years. I only turned her down gently all those times because of you. Isn't that kindness enough? Her so-called love has been nothing but a burden to me." Nicole was so furious she was nearly shaking, her voice hoarse from yelling. "Don't worry, she'll never like you again, not after what you did. You left her stranded on the roadside, and then she got into a car accident and suffered a concussion. I only gave her a ride because of you. Why shouldn't I have left her halfway? Even if she got into an accident, if I could go back in time and do it all over again 100 times, I'd still abandon her 100 times for Zoe. If she's still holding a grudge about that, tell her to stay away from me." The sound of a car door slamming shut echoed in the distance. Lisa didn't want them to find out she had overheard their entire argument. She didn't want to make things any more awkward, so she quickly turned and left. When she got home, she glanced around the room. then quietly began gathering everything she had kept over the years that was related to Joel. One by one, she threw them all into the trash. Over the weekend, she stayed home, quietly packing her things. By Monday, Lisa went to the office and handed her resignation to HR. The HR officer was stunned to hear she wanted to quit. "Weren't you still on medical leave after the accident? I heard the design director position opened up. And Mr. Sun was planning to promote you. Why are you suddenly resigning?" Nicole had once told her that, after graduation, Lisa had applied to Sun Group's design department just to be near Joel, just to have a reason to stand openly at his side. For 3 years, she had worked hard and diligently, inching closer to him, step by step. But now, she no longer remembered him, and she had forgotten what it felt like to love him. So, facing the surprised HR officer, Lisa smiled softly. "I want to go home. I'll be staying there from now on." The HR rep didn't try to persuade her further and handed over the stamped resignation form. "All right, I'll pass this along for Mr. Sun's signature, and then the process will be complete." Chapter 6. On her way back from the HR office, Lisa was stopped by a colleague from her department. "President Sun just called a meeting with the design team. I think it's to announce the new department director. It's starting soon. Come with us." Lisa nodded and followed them to the meeting room. Along the way, several coworkers smiled brightly and congratulated her. "Lisa, you've been with us for 3 years, worked on so many major projects, and even won several international gold awards. Honestly, you're the most qualified for the director role." "Exactly. With all your accomplishments and how much President Sun values you, we'd all be totally on board with you as our new director. Once the announcement's out, you're treating us to dinner, okay?" Having worked together for years, Lisa knew their words were sincere. She initially wanted to tell them about her upcoming resignation, but since Joel Sun hadn't signed the papers yet, she decided to wait until dinner that evening to share the news. "It doesn't matter if I get the director position or not, but I am planning to treat you all tonight, and I have something important to tell everyone." Chatting as they walked, they soon reached the meeting room. Lisa took a seat in the corner. Once everyone had arrived, Joel walked in on time. He swept his gaze around the room and got straight to the point. "I'm sure many of you have heard the rumors. Today's meeting is to officially announce the new head of the design department. If anyone has something to say, feel free to speak up." All eyes turned to Lisa Su, not wanting this decision to be announced before things were settled. She stood up after a moment of thought, meeting Joel's calm gaze. "President Sun, thank you for trusting me all these years and entrusting me with so many projects, which I've completed with the help of my colleagues. I don't know who you've chosen, but before you make it official, I would like to volunteer." Before she could finish saying to withdraw from the candidate list, Joel interrupted her. "For the director position, out of our current 10 designers, most don't have the project weight to qualify. And while you have a strong portfolio, Lisa, your experience is still too limited. So I've decided to bring in someone new, someone with greater experience and qualifications, to take on this crucial role." The entire department fell into shocked silence. Lisa froze where she stood, and then, Joel's voice rang out across the meeting room. "Let me introduce you all to the new design department director, Zoe." Bang, the door swung open as Zoe walked in with a smile, launching into her self-introduction. "Hello, everyone. I'm Zoe Chan, a PhD graduate from the Milan Institute of Design. I've received the European Young Designers Award." The room remained silent. Everyone exchanged uneasy looks. The reason? Many of the awards Zoe mentioned were already held by several others in the room. And with no prior work experience, straight from graduation to a director's seat, most found it hard to accept, especially the senior designers who'd been there for 5 years or more. One of whom finally spoke up. "President Sun, we feel that Ms. Chan may be lacking in real-world experience. She would benefit from another year or 2 of hands-on work before taking on a director role. Comparatively, Lisa would be a more capable choice." As soon as one person spoke up, others followed suit with agreement. Zoe's eyes reddened at once, looking aggrieved as she turned to Joel. Seeing her tears, Joel's expression softened, but when his gaze returned to Lisa, it was icy and sharp. Zoe is an elite graduate from a top institution, with numerous international awards. Her vision and capability are beyond comparison, certainly beyond Lisa's. Yes, Lisa has contributed to many projects, but only because of the strong foundation our department has laid. If I gave Zoe the same resources, she'd deliver even better results. So the director role goes to Zoe. This is final. No further discussion. Chapter 7. Even though Lisa no longer harbored any feelings for Joel, being publicly humiliated like that still turned her face pale. After making his cold announcement, Joel ended the meeting without another word, striding out of the conference room with Zoe close behind. Outside, the HR personnel, who had been waiting anxiously, immediately approached him. President Sun, we have a resignation letter that requires your review and signature. Joel didn't even glance at the paper. His eyes were cold, his expression unreadable. He simply signed it without hesitation. The moment he disappeared down the corridor with Zoe in tow, Lisa's colleagues from the design department rushed over, surrounding her with sympathy and concern. But Lisa remained calm. She smiled faintly, clutching the signed resignation letter tightly in her hand. It doesn't matter whether I stay as director or not. I had already planned to resign. President Sun just signed my letter. It's official now. Today is my last day at the company. From now on, the road is long and winding. I wish you all the best. If fate allows, we'll meet again. Everyone was stunned. They hadn't expected her to actually leave. One by one, they voiced their reluctance, even suggesting they confront Joel to reverse his decision. But Lisa gently shook her head, thanking each of them before returning to her office to pack up. After work, she invited everyone out for dinner, treating them to a warm, if slightly melancholic, farewell gathering. Back at home, Lisa contacted a real estate agent and listed her apartment at the lowest market price. It sold the very next day. She finalized the transfer and agreed to vacate the place within 2 days. With everything settled, her phone lit up with a call from Nicole. Lisa, tomorrow's my birthday. You didn't forget, did you? I've been waiting for your present. How could I forget your birthday? Lisa said with a smile. I've already prepared your gift. I'll bring it to you myself tomorrow. What Lisa didn't say was that she planned to tell Nicole about her decision to leave. In past years, Lisa would always arrive early to Nicole's birthday banquet, just to steal a few more moments with Joel. But this year, she waited until halfway through the event before finally hailing a cab to the Sun family estate. She had been there countless times before. She knew the layout like the back of her hand and quietly slipped in through the back entrance. Inside the grand hall, the lights were warm and festive. Nicole stood at the center, surrounded by friends and family, smiling brightly as she blew out the candles. Mr. and Mrs. Sun stood beside her, smiling with pride. On her other side stood Joel and Zoe. They looked harmonious, even familial. Lisa stood in the shadows, watching from a distance. Then she overheard the soft murmurs of the Sun family maids nearby. I thought Master Joel and that Miss Chan were over years ago. Who would have guessed they'd circle back to each other? That's real devotion. Exactly. That other girl, the best friend, chased after him for years and still couldn't win his heart. Shows how deeply he loves Miss Chan. Mr. and Mrs. Sun have been urging him to get married for years. He always avoided the topic. But now, bringing her home himself? Looks like something big is coming. Lisa quietly clenched the gift in her hand, lips curling into an unreadable smile. She had loved him for so long. Now it seemed everyone finally got what they wanted. Chapter 8. Lisa had already forgotten everything related to Joel, and she had also decided to let him go completely. From now on, no matter who he loved or married, it had nothing to do with her. So even when she heard those whispers, she felt nothing. She quietly stayed through the birthday song, and when she lifted her eyes again, she met Joel's gaze. He frowned slightly and leaned over to say something to Nicole, who then turned to look and stepped out of the crowd. Lisa gently embraced her, handed her the gift, and smiled. Happy birthday. Nicole, who had been waiting all night, eagerly tried to drag her over to the cake table, but Lisa Sue shook her head. Too noisy with so many people. I'll skip it. You go enjoy yourself. I'll wait for you in your room. I've got something to tell you later. Nicole, worried Lisa would be upset seeing Joel, agreed readily. Lisa slipped away from the party and headed straight to Nicole's third-floor bedroom, a place she knew by heart. She sat down on the sofa, and after about 30 minutes, a wave of drowsiness came over her. She closed her eyes for a light nap. Half asleep, She heard the door open, thinking it was Nicole. She opened her eyes, only to see Zoe. Her expression was grim, and her stare burned with intensity. Her tone was far from friendly. "I thought you said you gave up. So why do you keep showing up in front of Joel Sun? Let me tell you, his heart only has room for me. No matter what pathetic tricks you pull, he'll never love you. You'll never beat me." Lisa hadn't expected a confrontation and needed a few seconds to gather herself before calmly replying. "I'm only here to give Nicole her birthday gift. I'll be leaving soon." But Zoe's hostility only deepened, her face twisting with contempt. "You've shamelessly clung to Joel all these years, throwing yourself at him with no dignity, all because you knew how to act sweet in front of Nicole, right? Honestly, Joel having a sister like her, so blind and biased, is his biggest misfortune." Lisa could tolerate whatever insults Zoe hurled at her, but the moment she began to attack Nicole, her eyes turned cold. "Does Joel know you talk this way about his own flesh and blood sister behind his back?" Zoe sneered. "Joel will always adore me unconditionally. So what if I say something? And let's be real, you and Nicole are both a couple of shameless bitches. Am I wrong? You're only mad because I hit a nerve, right? 7 years ago, you dumped Joel and left the country without warning. Nearly drove him to death. Nicole never once said a bad word about you because she cared about her brother. Now you're crawling back hoping to marry Joel's son. Yet behind his back you insult the one person who always stood by him. Tell me, who's the truly disgusting one?" Zoe hadn't expected Lisa to snap back. Enraged, she slapped her hard across the face. But Lisa didn't back down. She raised her hand and returned the slap just as fiercely. Zoe clutched her burning cheek, tears of anger welling up, and lunged at Lisa. They began to fight. Lisa grabbed her hair, trying to push her away, and in the scuffle, they knocked over an aromatherapy burner. The small flame caught the bedspread, then the carpet, spreading rapidly into a blaze. Smoke filled the room. By the time they realized it, they were already surrounded by fire. Lisa stumbled toward the door to escape, but Zoe suddenly shoved her straight into the flames. The searing fire licked at her skin, the pain so intense it made her body tremble uncontrollably. She tried to pat out the flames. Just as the bedroom door was forcefully kicked open, Joel charged in. He was just half a meter away, but his eyes barely lingered on her before shifting to Zoe. He ran to her, sweeping her into his arms with desperate urgency. Smoke thickened, choking Lisa Sue's lungs. She struggled to breathe, reaching out with a reddened, burned hand and grabbing Joel's leg. But he only glanced down at her and violently shook her off before turning to leave. She watched his figure vanish into the smoke, and then everything went black. Chapter 9. Lisa never thought she'd survive. When she opened her eyes again, the first thing she saw was Nicole's tear-stained face. "Lisa, thank God you're okay. I would have blamed myself forever if anything happened to you. Are you in pain? Don't worry, I've already found the best doctors. I swear they won't let you be left with scars. It's just a minor injury. I'm fine." "Nicole, don't blame yourself. Don't worry." Even as unbearable burning pain radiated through her hands, Lisa gritted her teeth and used them to pull Nicole into a hug. "There's actually something I wanted to tell you yesterday. It might be a little late now, so don't be mad, okay? I've decided to go back to El City this afternoon. My family's been urging me to fulfill a childhood engagement. I've already bought the ticket. Will you come see me off?" Nicole was stunned. Tears welled up again. "What? You're leaving just like that? And getting married? Are you never coming back? What if I miss you? What do I do?" Lisa Sue sighed and spent a long time gently calming her down before Nicole finally relaxed. They chatted for a while, reluctant to part, until Nicole went to handle the discharge papers. Just as Lisa finished dressing, Joel barged into the room, his face dark, his tone sharp. "You hit Zoe Chan and tried to burn her alive, didn't you?" Lisa felt nothing at the sight of him now. Her voice was cold. "She told you that, and you believed it? No proof? No questions?" "Yes," Joel snapped. "Whatever Zoe says, I'll believe without needing any proof." He wouldn't even give her a chance to explain. Lisa knew, no matter what she said, he would never believe her, so she didn't waste her breath. She smiled quietly. "Then what? Why are you here now?" "To make you apologize to Zoe." "Of course." Without warning, Joel yanked her injured hand, dragging her with him. Blood seeped from the wound again, and the pain brought tears to Lisa Sue's eyes. But she gritted her teeth and struggled hard to free herself. Just then, Nicole walked in and immediately pulled Lisa behind her. Joel Sun's expression turned even colder. "Step aside. She has to apologize to Zoe today." "I won't move." Nicole stood firm. "I'm sure Lisa didn't do anything wrong. You can side with Zoe all you want. But there's a camera in my room. Everything from last night is on record. If you want Lisa to apologize, wait until we've reviewed the footage." Her voice was hoarse, but she didn't back down an inch. Joel's jaw clenched, veins bulging at his temple. He was about to respond when a message from Zoe popped up on his phone. He read it, swallowed his anger, and turned away with a final word. "Fine, we'll watch the footage tonight. When the evidence is clear, let's see what excuse you have then." He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. The room fell silent again. Nicole gently cleaned Lisa's wound while apologizing over and over. But Lisa just shook her head, wiping away her tears. "You don't need to say sorry, Nicole, because we didn't do anything wrong. I'm leaving soon. From now on, you have to take care of yourself, promise me." Nicole nodded fiercely, then helped her pack and took her straight to the airport. The boarding announcement for her flight to El City was already playing. Lisa gave Nicole one last hug, then turned and walked decisively toward the gate. On board, she deleted all of Joel's contact information. Nicole's final message came through just then. "Lisa, be happy back home. I'll find out the truth tonight and make sure you get the justice you deserve." Lisa smiled at the now darkened screen, turning her gaze to the clouds outside the window. For her, the truth, the justice, they didn't matter anymore, because Joel, and all the pain that came with him, had already been erased from her memory. She was leaving it all behind, forever, completely. Chapter 10. Dragging her suitcase. Lisa Sue stood wearily at the door. She tucked the bandaged part of her injured hand into her sleeve, making sure it was hidden before she raised her hand to knock. "Who is it?" came Sue's mother's voice from inside. When she opened the door and saw Lisa, her face filled with surprise. "Lisa, you really came back. I thought you were just saying that to appease me." Then she turned and called into the house. "Honey, it's Lisa. She's home." "What? Lisa really came back?" Sue's father stood up from the sofa and quickly walked over. He took Lisa's suitcase inside while Sue's mother held onto her arm lovingly and let her in. "You actually came home. What about you and Joel?" Before she could finish, Lisa interrupted softly. "Mom, I was in a car accident and lost my memory. I don't remember anything about him." Hearing about the accident, Sue's mother immediately tried to drag Lisa out for a checkup. Lisa quickly stopped her, afraid her mother would discover the burn wounds on her hand. "I'm fine now. Really, don't worry. It was my own fault. I loved someone I shouldn't have, and chased after him for years. Maybe the memory loss is a blessing. Let's just consider it the old me getting what I deserved. As for the childhood engagement you mentioned, I used to refuse it, and probably hurt the other family's feelings. But now that I'm back, I'll go meet him." Upon hearing this, both Sue's parents chuckled fondly and hugged her tightly. "Silly girl. What engagement? We made that up. We just saw you pining after that boy for so long with no result and hoped to nudge you toward letting go. There's no real engagement. Who you choose to be with is entirely up to you. But not that guy, not your friend's brother. You gave and gave for years, and he never gave anything back. That kind of love will only wear you out." Hearing their warm, loving words, Lisa's eyes turned red. She hugged them again tightly. "I know, Mom, Dad. Maybe this memory loss is heaven's way of giving me a second chance. I'll never love him again." Lisa spent the next 2 days peacefully at home and soon decided to start over. After sending out a few applications, she received an interview invitation from Song Group in El City. "Mom, I have an interview this afternoon. I'm heading out now," she called as she changed her shoes. Sue's mother poked her head out of the kitchen. "Be safe. Watch the roads." Lisa arrived at the Song Group building early and decided to grab a coffee nearby while waiting. "Customer 627. Your order is ready." As she reached for her cup, her hand bumped into another man's. "Sorry." Lisa quickly apologized and glanced down to check her ticket. 627. She looked up in confusion. Just as the man met her gaze, He lifted his own cup and explained, "Mine's 626. Looks like the barista called the wrong number." The barista returned just then with another cup. "Apologies. Miss, I called the wrong order. This one's yours." Lisa took it with a smile. "It's all right. Hi, I'm Ethan Song," the man suddenly said, extending his hand. "I work here too, who knows? We might end up as colleagues." Hearing that, Lisa took his hand and replied, "Nice to meet you. I'm Lisa Sue." Ethan found the name oddly familiar, but didn't dwell on it. "Good luck with your interview. See you around." Neither of them expected how soon "see you around" would come. When Lisa walked into the conference room with her resume, she was surprised to see Ethan seated at the center of the interview panel. Ethan was looking at his phone and only looked up when he noticed the newcomer hadn't spoken. He, too, was stunned to see Lisa. "Hello, interviewers. I'm Lisa. I graduated from..." The interview went smoothly, and soon her start date was confirmed. As Lisa exited, Ethan called out to her, "What a coincidence, I'm the manager of the design department here. Since we'll be colleagues, and it's getting late, can I treat you to dinner?" Ethan was a bit too enthusiastic for Lisa's taste, and she declined politely. "No need, Mr. Song. I have other plans tonight." "Meeting a boyfriend?" Ethan asked casually. Though Lisa Sue didn't understand his tone, she still answered politely, "No." That was enough to make Ethan visibly relax. As long as it's not a boyfriend, he thought. Chapter 11. Lisa's onboarding went smoothly. She was highly competent and handled interpersonal relations with grace, quickly integrating into the design department of the Song Group. However, Lisa fiddled with the flowers on her desk and sighed in frustration. A nearby colleague heard her sigh and leaned over. "Another bouquet? If a suitor sent me flowers every day, I wouldn't be sighing at all." Lisa pulled out 2 roses and handed them over. "I hope you find someone soon too." What troubled Lisa wasn't the flowers, but the fact that the suitor was Ethan, technically her boss now. This added layer of complication made her uneasy. On one hand, she wasn't ready for a relationship because of what had happened with Joel. On the other, she worried that if their dynamic was exposed, coworkers might gossip about the supervisor-subordinate relationship. "Lisa, would you like to have dinner with me tonight?" Ethan invited her again. Previously, Lisa had always declined without hesitation, but today, she deleted the message she had typed to turn him down and replied, "Okay." Ethan responded instantly. Lisa could almost sense his excitement through the screen. "I'll book the restaurant. How about Italian?" "Sure." Lisa agreed to the dinner mainly to use the opportunity to clarify things between them. When Lisa arrived at the restaurant, Ethan was already there. The waiter guided her to the table, and Ethan handed her a bouquet. "I saw you gave away today's roses. You don't like them?" Lisa lowered her head and gently sniffed the beautifully wrapped jasmine. "No, I really like the flowers. What about the person who gave them to you?" The question caught Lisa off guard. After a long pause, she finally said, "Ethan, I don't think we're suitable for each other." "Lisa, I'm serious about you." Lisa had no answer for that and chose to remain silent. As a suitor, Ethan was ideal. He sent fresh flowers daily, along with gifts that included love letters. Despite his pursuit, he kept things professional in the office. He was measured and respectful, knowing when to advance and when to retreat. The two sat in silence, accompanied only by the sound of violin music in the restaurant. "Let's eat first," Ethan finally said, breaking the silence. Lisa was feeling a little stifled and barely touched her food, but she drank quite a bit of wine. Getting slightly tipsy, Ethan took away her wine glass and gently advised, "Stop drinking, or you'll get drunk." Perhaps it was the alcohol, but the grievances Lisa had been holding back spilled out. "I've already forgotten him, so why does it still hurt?" "What did he do to you?" Ethan asked, puzzled by the him Lisa was referring to. Slightly drunk, Lisa mumbled, "It was my fault for clinging to him for so long, but I let go after losing my memory. Why wouldn't he listen to my explanation and just pushed me away? Why did he believe only her side of the story and assume it was my fault?" As she spoke, Lisa revealed a scar that had healed but still looked gruesome. Ethan's pupils dilated uncontrollably as he stared at the burn scar, his fingers trembling as he reached out to touch it. From Lisa's scattered words, Ethan could piece together the situation. Apparently, Lisa had once been hurt deeply by a cheating scumbag. That's probably why she kept rejecting Ethan's advances. His eyes were full of sorrow. He lowered his head and kissed the scar gently. Lisa, I'll make sure you forget him completely and accept me. Chapter 12. Director Chan. These are the design drafts for the upcoming product launch. If everything looks fine, I'll submit them for final approval, the assistant said nervously, handing Zoe a stack of sketches. Zoe took the drafts with an air of disinterest, glanced at them briefly, then tossed them aside. You think this is worth showing to the president? The assistant froze, flustered and unsure how to respond. These were finalized by designer Sue and the rest of the team. That only added fuel to the fire. Zoe slammed the documents off the desk, scattering pages everywhere. Tell President Sun that Lisa's previous designs are unacceptable. I'll personally lead the team to redo everything. The assistant looked like she still wanted to speak, but Zoe snapped. Did you not hear me? Get out! Tears welled up in the assistant's eyes. She hastily gathered the scattered papers and fled the office. Outside, her colleagues crowded around her. What did Director Chan say? One asked. She said the designs won't do. She's going to lead us in a total redesign. Seeing Bianca crying, the others quickly tried to comfort her, though their expressions were equally frustrated. Zoe Chan had only been director a few days, but every report ended in a scolding. All of Lisa's previous work had been dismissed with no constructive feedback, just rejection after rejection. The team had already been displeased with Zoe's appointment. Now, her attitude had the whole department grumbling. I'm done. One of the more senior designers slammed his badge on the desk. Seeing someone take the lead, others followed. With my experience, I can find another job anywhere. No point in staying to put up with her nonsense. All bark, no skill. What a joke. In just a few hours, resignation letters began piling up on HR's desk. Overwhelmed by the wave of sudden departures, HR didn't know what to do and escalated the issue directly to Joel. Joel's son stormed into Zoe's office, face dark, slamming the stack of resignation letters in front of her. What did you do this time? Zoe's eyes turned red with indignation. She had never been scolded by Joel before. I just thought their designs weren't up to par and wanted them redone. I didn't think they'd resort to threats and mass resignation. Joel had always turned a blind eye to Zoe's behavior at the company, so long as she didn't cross any lines. But this time, 22 members of the design team had submitted resignations. With jewelry production tanking and pressure mounting from shareholders, Joel had no choice but to act. Take some time off. I'll appoint a new director to manage the department. When you've rested, you can co-manage the team with them. To Joel, this was already a face-saving arrangement. But to Zoe, it was a slap in the face. She slammed the door and stormed out, furious. Joel rubbed his temples, stressed by the chaos in the department. His thoughts involuntarily drifted to Lisa. Back when she was still on the team, nothing like this had ever happened. Product launches were smooth, and sales were solid. He rubbed his brow again. Why am I suddenly thinking about Lisa? His phone buzzed. Thinking of Zoe's teary face earlier, he picked out a gift and sent her a message. Zoe, I was wrong earlier. I bought you something. Let's have dinner tonight. Zoe Chan smiled smugly at the message, deliberately waiting a while before replying. Fine, since you're being so sweet, I'll forgive you, just this once. That evening, Joel's son took Zoe to dinner, then for a walk along the river. Zoe clung to his arm, playfully whining. Will you take me to the amusement park tomorrow? Joel wasn't fond of places like that, but Lisa had dragged him there twice before. He wanted to say no, but as soon as Lisa's smiling face on the carousel flashed in his mind, he found himself nodding. All right. Chapter 13. Joel. It wasn't until Zoe called out twice that Joel came back to his senses. What is it? Zoe, a little annoyed, said. What's wrong with you today? Why do you keep zoning out? Faced with Zoe's questioning, Joel didn't know how to respond. This amusement park was a place he had visited before with Lisa. Somehow, seeing some familiar spots today brought Lisa back to his mind. Seeing Joel remain silent only made Zoe more upset. Joel hurried to reassure her. Sorry, didn't you say you wanted to ride the carousel? I'll go with you. Hearing that Joel was willing to ride the carousel with her, Zoe immediately perked up. Joel had always refused to go on rides that were seen as childish or for little girls. Zoe even placed a cartoonish, childish headband on Joel's head. And surprisingly, he didn't resist. The carousel offered photo services, and Zoe intentionally paid extra so that the staff would take more pictures of them. Joel sat stiffly on the carousel, feeling extremely uneasy and tense. When the ride finally ended, Zoe pulled him over to pick out the photos. Among the countless tourist pictures on the wall, Joel spotted one of him and Lisa. It must have been taken back when Lisa was in college. He, Lisa, and Nicole had come together. Nicole had probably taken the photo of him and Lisa with her instant camera. As for who put it on the wall, it was obvious. Joel. The staff said that wall is for couple photos. Let's hang ours up too. Just as Joel was about to stop Zoe, she was already walking toward it. He quickly followed after her. Unfortunately, he was still a step too late. Zoe had already seen the photo. She yanked the photo of Joel and Lisa off the wall and demanded harshly, "So you've been spacing out all day because you were thinking about Lisa?" Joel's lips parted slightly. He wanted to explain but couldn't bring himself to say anything. That silence practically counted as an admission. Furious, Zoe tore the photo to pieces and threw them into the nearby trash bin before storming off. The date ended in disaster. Joel picked up the fragments of the photo that had fallen to the ground. On the back, someone had written something. Joel recognized Lisa's handwriting. Only the words "Lee likes Joe" remained legible among the scraps. Staring at the photo, Joel was lost in thought. After hesitating for a long while, he finally put the fragments into his pocket. Back home, Zoe smashed everything in the living room to vent her frustration. She turned on her phone, expecting to see a message from Joel apologizing, but there was nothing. In a fit of rage, Zoe threw her phone to the ground. For several days in a row, Joel neither reached out to apologize nor sent her a single message. Despite her anger at Joel's coldness, Zoe had no choice but to swallow her pride first. "Joel, I was too impulsive that day." Zoe went to Joel's office, tugged on his sleeve, and acted coquettishly. Joel had indeed been in the wrong. Now that Zoe had come to apologize, he had nothing more to say. "Go back to work downstairs in a bit." Joel's words gave Zoe a way to step down gracefully. Zoe didn't keep acting coy. "Thanks, Joel. Let's not fight anymore, okay?" Joel gave a flat response, When Zoe returned to the design department, the newly promoted director was already sitting in the deputy director's office. Thinking about Joel's previous criticism of her, Zoe forced a bright smile and greeted the rest of the department cheerfully. But everyone acted as if they hadn't seen her. Zoe awkwardly lowered her hand, the fake smile on her face faltering. As she walked back to her office, she could even hear them whispering about her behind her back. Combined with what had happened at the amusement park that day, Zoe blamed everything on Lisa. Chapter 14. The more Zoe thought about it, the angrier she became. She swept her arm across the desk, sending all the documents flying to the ground. The crashing sound drew the attention of the staff outside her office, and several peeked in. Uneasy, Zoe, realizing she had an audience, got up and slammed the office door shut with a loud bang. In the hallway, someone asked in a low voice, "Who's going to talk to Director Chan about the design competition?" Everyone shook their heads. No one wanted to trigger her fury. Left with no choice, the deputy director sighed and entered the office himself. He carefully stepped over the scattered papers and placed the competition details onto Zoe's desk. "There's an upcoming design competition. These are the guidelines. President Sun has asked you to lead the design department's submission." Zoe finally calmed a little at the mention of Joel. She gave the documents a glance and waved the deputy director away. "You may go." For the next couple of days, Zoe Chan uncharacteristically stayed put, focusing on drafting her design. She picked up her pen and began sketching, only to rip the page moments later and toss it into a growing pile of crumpled paper. Despite her degrees and early accolades, Zoe wasn't particularly talented in design. Her university awards didn't hold up in a place like Sun Group, where true veterans competed. If she allowed the team to help her, the final product might have been decent. But Zoe refused to collaborate. She was determined to prove she was better than Lisa. After all, her appointment as director had been Joel's controversial decision. Everyone thought she was underqualified, that she got the role through favoritism. Now, she was desperate to prove them wrong. As she racked her brain for inspiration, she stumbled upon a strikingly elegant sketch in Joel's office. "Joel, whose design is this?" she asked. Joel took the sketch from her, pausing as he recognized it immediately. It was Lisa's. He remembered the moment clearly. Lisa had brought him the design, eyes sparkling with excitement. "Joel, I designed this ring. I call it Spring. The inspiration comes from..." "Enough. Can you stop bothering me during work?" He had cut her off sharply, tossing the draft aside without a second glance. Lisa had gone quiet, her smile freezing in place. She gently placed the design back on his desk and walked out silently. Now, holding it again, Joel felt a strange pang in his chest. "It's Lisa's," he finally answered. Zoe's expression flickered with jealousy, though she quickly composed herself and set the sketch down nonchalantly. "Was it ever produced?" Joel hesitated, unsure of Zoe's motives, but answered honestly, "No." Then after a pause, he added quietly, "She designed it for me." A few days later, Zoe submitted her design for the competition to Joel. As he flipped through the pages, the ring caught his eye. It looked suspiciously similar to Lisa's Spring. He hesitated for a long moment, but in the end, he said nothing. After all, Lisa, the woman who had haunted him for years, was finally out of his life. He should be happy, so why did he keep thinking about her? "Thanks for the hard work. When the competition's over, I'll take you on a vacation," he said to Zoe. Zoe Chan looked up, surprised and delighted. Their relationship hadn't progressed much. Even though she was with Joel, she knew he still thought about Lisa, maybe even missed her. She felt threatened. But this vacation, felt like an opportunity to finally move their relationship forward. Zoe leaned in, trying to kiss him. Joel gently pushed her back. "It's work hours." He picked up another file and said coolly, "If there's nothing else, head back to your office." Chapter 15. "Lisa, can you take on this design competition?" Lisa stood up and said to Ethan, "I haven't been with the company for long. I think it's better to let someone with more experience handle it." This was a decision made after discussing with the others. "Lisa, everyone here recognizes your talent." The others in the meeting room nodded in agreement with Ethan's words. Seeing how much everyone believed in her, Lisa no longer declined and accepted the task confidently. "I'll give it my all. I won't let anyone down." After the morning meeting ended, Ethan asked Lisa to stay behind. "Director Song, is there something you need?" Ethan frowned slightly at her formal tone. "Lisa, we're friends. There's no need to be so distant. Is there?" Ever since that night when Lisa got drunk and Ethan took her home, she had been less resistant to his pursuit. Even Lisa's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Sue, were fond of Ethan and often said things like, "That Ethan kid seems like a good one." But Lisa wasn't planning on dating anyone for now, so she and Ethan remained just friends. Lisa preferred not to be too entangled with Ethan at work. "If there's nothing else, Director Song, I'll head out now." Ethan stopped her. "The Sun Group will also be participating in this competition. I had someone look into it. It's Zoe who's leading their design." Lisa understood the implication and nodded. "Got it." The theme of this design competition was the 4 seasons. Instantly, Lisa thought of the spring concept she had previously designed. She decided to develop the rest of the collection based on that idea. A few days later, Lisa handed her completed designs to Ethan. Ethan flipped through them, full of praise. "Lisa, your designs are incredible, especially this one. Spring. The competition results should be announced in a week or 2. When the time comes, I want you to attend the event with me." Lisa blushed slightly at his compliments. On the day the results were announced, Lisa boarded a flight to City J with Ethan. From the moment they landed, Ethan noticed something was off with Lisa. "Joel's coming today too. It's fine. He has nothing to do with me anymore." Lisa cut him off before he could finish. Lisa had lost her memory, completely forgetting everything that had happened between her and Joel, the way she had once chased after him so passionately, and the pain he had caused her. But everything Joel had done after she lost her memory, she remembered that clearly. And for that, Lisa wanted no part of him anymore. Once at the competition venue, Lisa followed Ethan inside and immediately spotted Joel with Zoe clinging to his arm. Joel and Zoe noticed Lisa too. Zoe dragged Joel over and greeted her. "Lisa, what a coincidence." Seeing Zoe's smug expression, Lisa didn't want to get drawn into anything. She pulled Ethan aside and tried to leave. Lisa's avoidance only inflated Zoe's arrogance. Looking at Ethan beside her, Zoe sneered. Lisa, is this your new boyfriend? Joel's eyes locked onto Lisa and Ethan with a deep frown, even though Lisa hadn't bothered him at all. When Zoe asked that question, a part of Joel felt an irrational fear, afraid she might say yes. When Lisa didn't respond immediately, Zoe became even more pleased with herself. Don't tell me you're still hung up on my boyfriend? Lisa was just about to fire back when Ethan stepped in front of her. Lisa is my girlfriend. Show some respect. After that, Ethan led Lisa away. They didn't stop until they reached their seats. I'm sorry, Lisa, she was too out of line just now. Lisa shook her head and smiled. It's okay. Thank you for standing up for me. Chapter 16. As the awards ceremony began, everyone sat in anticipation, waiting for the host to announce the winners. Lisa, too, felt a slight tension in her chest. Just as the host opened the envelope to read the results, a staff member suddenly stepped up and whispered something in their ear. The host paused, then looked out at the audience. Everyone, we've encountered a plagiarism issue in this year's competition. To ensure fairness, we will investigate and reevaluate the submissions involved. Gasps and murmurs spread through the hall. Plagiarism in the design industry was a severe accusation. It didn't just tarnish reputations, it could destroy careers. Originally, the organizers intended to handle the issue privately, but under mounting pressure from the crowd, they revealed the two suspected designs on the large screen. Lisa's heart dropped as she recognized the designs. It was hers and Zoe's. She looked toward Joel and Zoe in disbelief, eyes searching for an explanation. Zoe met Lisa's gaze and smiled smugly. Ethan leaned close. Lisa, did you ever show your draft to anyone? He trusted Lisa completely. He didn't believe for a second that she would plagiarize someone else's work. Given the circumstances, he could only assume someone had stolen Lisa's draft. Just as Lisa was about to stand and defend herself, Zoe beat her to it. It was Lisa who copied my design, she said, loud and clear. Lisa stood, voice sharp with disbelief. That's not true. You copied my design. I have the original hand-drawn sketch, Zoe added confidently. She handed it to the staff for the judges to examine. Lisa also submitted her own copy, her original draft. She knew she hadn't copied a single line. Ethan placed a steadying hand on her shoulder, speaking softly. It's okay. They'll figure out the truth. I believe in you. The audience waited as the judges deliberated. Finally, the host read the verdict. After examination, we have determined that Zoe's original draft predates Lisa's. It was a damning conclusion. The implication was clear. Lisa had plagiarized Zoe's work. Staggering to the judges' table, Lisa snatched up the designs. One look at Zoe's original, and she knew the truth. It was her own drawing, a design she must have accidentally left behind at Sun Group when she resigned. Gasps and whispers filled the room. People were already condemning her. Lisa turned to Joel, desperate. If he just said this was her original work, everything could be cleared up. But Joel didn't speak. Joel, she said, voice trembling, walking up to him with the sketch in hand. You gave Zoe my draft, didn't you? Joel's brows tightened. A flicker of guilt crossed his face, and he opened his mouth. But Zoe clutched his arm tightly. The judges were watching, waiting for his confirmation. Joel's lips moved, and then came the final blow. That design belongs to Zoe. All hope drained from Lisa's eyes. Her legs went weak, and she nearly collapsed. Ethan rushed forward to catch her. Zoe, triumphant, strutted over after the event and sneered. How about this headline? Song group involved in plagiarism scandal. Think it'll trend? Joel stood silently by her side, expression indifferent. Ethan didn't want to argue with Zoe. He turned to Joel and said coldly, I didn't expect Sun Group to protect a plagiarist like her. Joel glanced at Lisa and responded with icy arrogance. I'm defending my girlfriend. Got a problem? Ethan's fists clenched. He looked ready to punch him until Lisa pulled him back. She misunderstood. If it's for the company's image, I'll resign and take the fall. Song Group's stock won't suffer. Ethan's song immediately clarified. It's not about the stock. I just can't stand seeing you treated like this. Joel turned away, uninterested, but Lisa's voice rang out, steady and clear. Joel, my past feelings for you, let's just call them my mistake. But you left me in a lake, abandoned me in a burning room, And now you've helped someone steal my work. Let's call all of it karma. From now on, we're even. Joel froze for a moment, then replied with a single word. All right. Chapter 17. Although Ethan trusted Lisa and was willing to risk affecting the company's stock value in order to protect her, Lisa didn't want him to face difficulties because of her. That's why she decided to submit her resignation and take full responsibility for the plagiarism case. As Lisa was packing her things in the design department, everyone watched her with sadness. Regarding the accusations of plagiarism, no one on the team believed it could be possible coming from her. With Lisa's talent, she would never have needed to copy anyone's work. Ethan returned from a board meeting and, upon seeing her gathering her belongings, immediately rushed to stop her. I'll speak with the board. You're the victim in all this. I can't let you bear such disgrace. If you're labeled a plagiarist, how will you make your way in this industry? Lisa was deeply grateful and moved by Ethan's support, but she didn't want to keep dragging him down with her. Because of this issue, even though Ethan was the second son of the Song family, he had already been questioned multiple times by the board and hadn't slept well in days. Dealing with the situation, Ethan, thank you. I've saved up some money over the years. I want to take a break. Ethan tried to persuade her to stay, but Lisa rejected all his attempts. Then rest for a while. When all this calms down, I'll bring you back, he finally said. Seeing the exhausted look on Lisa's face, Ethan thought that perhaps a break wouldn't be such a bad idea. Worried that Lisa might lock herself at home and overthink everything, Ethan began visiting her every few days, taking her out for walks or to help her unwind. Lisa couldn't refuse his persistence. And besides, Father Sue and Mother Sue were also worried, so she accepted Ethan's invitations. As time went by, Lisa slowly began to soften her attitude toward him. Today was no exception. Ethan had reserved a restaurant and invited her to dinner. The place was located atop a building by the river, offering a spectacular view of the riverside landscape. While they dined, Lisa looked out at the river and felt her mood improve. Just as she was about to comment on how peaceful the place was, she saw Ethan approach with a bouquet of flowers and a small jewelry box. Kneeling on one knee in front of her, Lisa, I like you. Will you be with me? As he spoke, Ethan opened the box, revealing a diamond bracelet. I designed it especially for you. Lisa, please, don't reject me. After all the time they had spent together, Lisa had already begun to accept Ethan. What's more, her memory loss felt like a gift from fate, a chance to leave behind what wasn't truly hers and start a new life. So, when Ethan confessed his love, Lisa took the bouquet and answered, all right. Ethan hadn't expected an affirmative response. He froze for a few seconds, until Lisa smiled and said, aren't you going to put the bracelet on me? Ethan, a little clumsy from the emotion, carefully took the bracelet from the box and gently fastened it around her wrist. When he finished, trembling, he kissed the scar that still remained on Lisa's forearm. Ethan, swear to love Lisa forever. When Lisa returned home, she still felt a little lightheaded. As she looked at the bracelet on her wrist, she could still feel Ethan's trembling kiss lingering there. Chapter 18. Although Joel helped Zoe cover up the plagiarism scandal, his attitude toward her had grown increasingly cold after returning. Zoe, seething with frustration, thought bitterly, Joel must still be hung up on Lisa. She had already left like a dog with its tail between its legs, and yet she still haunted them like a ghost. With that thought, Zoe picked up her phone and messaged Joel. Joel, I think I'm sick. Can you come check on me? After all, she had loved him for years, and despite everything, Joel still went over after receiving her message. When Joel arrived at Zoe's place, she was lying on the sofa in a camisole nightdress, her complexion normal, showing no signs of being sick. Joel immediately understood what was going on and looked displeased. Just as he was about to leave, Zoe grabbed his hand. I'm sorry, Joel. You've been so cold to me lately. I was scared, so I lied about being sick. Hearing her say this, much of Joel's irritation dissipated. Zoe seized the moment. Will you stay for dinner with me? Joel didn't refuse this time and sat down at the table. Zoe poured 2 glasses of red wine from a decanter and handed one to Joel. Joel accepted it, but after just 2 sips, he began to feel strange. A wave of heat spread through his body, and he loosened his tie. Trying to cool down, Seeing his reaction, Zoe got up and straddled Joel's lap, reaching to unbutton his shirt. Realizing what was happening, Joel knew Zoe had set him up. Enduring the discomfort, Joel pushed Zoe off his lap and onto the floor. Zoe hadn't expected Joel to shove her away and looked at him in disbelief. Staggering toward the door, Joel tried to leave, but Zoe ran up and hugged him from behind. "Joel, don't go," she pleaded. Joel turned and slammed her against the wall, eyes burning with anger. "All these years, I thought you were sweet and sensible, even when you did things out of line. I told myself it was just because you cared about me, but now, you actually set me up. I never imagined you were this kind of person." After being pushed away multiple times and now physically manhandled, Zoe finally dropped the act. "You still won't accept me, huh? It's because you're still thinking about Lisa, isn't it? What does anything between us have to do with Lisa?" Zoe suddenly burst out laughing, crazed. "Joel, you keep saying Lisa clings to you and that you're sick of her, but it's obvious you enjoyed her chasing after you. You always cared about her, didn't you?" Joel stared at the twisted expression on Zoe's face and snapped, "Get a grip." Pushing her aside, Joel walked straight out. Back home, after dealing with the effects on his body, Joel lay in bed, Zoe's words still echoing in his mind. "You enjoyed her chasing after you. You always cared about her." He repeated the sentence to himself and took out the broken photo he'd picked up at the amusement park, rubbing the small piece between his fingers. His mind flooded with memories, 7 years of Lisa chasing after him, always trailing behind. Only now did Joel finally admit to himself, Zoe was right. He had gotten used to Lisa always being around, without even realizing it. The next day, Joel went to find Nicole. "That surveillance footage you mentioned, do you still have it?" Caught off guard, Nicole was momentarily confused. "What footage?" "The video from the night the room caught fire, when Zoe and Lisa were in there." Nicole gave Joel a mocking look. "Didn't you say you trusted Zoe? You promised to watch the footage with me that night. But one phone call from her and you believed her again, and now you're back, asking for the video? Regret it now? Trying to win Lisa back?" Faced with Nicole's sarcasm, Joel had no way to argue. Seeing his silence, Nicole continued, "Too late. Lisa messaged me a few days ago. She has a boyfriend now. I think his name's Ethan." "What boyfriend?" Joel's sudden outburst startled Nicole. After a pause, she replied, "Lisa's with Ethan now." Joel refused to believe it, he couldn't. But Nicole didn't seem to be lying. "No way. She's just using Ethan to get a rise out of me," he murmured in disbelief. Chapter 19. Nicole looked at Joel, dazed and hollow, while part of her felt satisfied on Lisa's behalf. Joel was still her brother. She sighed and handed over all the evidence she had previously gathered. "Think about it carefully. If you go now, maybe it's not too late," Nicole said with reluctant concern. Joel locked himself in his room and went through everything. Only then did he realize just how horribly wrong he had been, how much Lisa had suffered because he had blindly believed Zoe. Regret washed over him. Nicole was right. Maybe it wasn't too late to make things right. Spurred by this thought, Joel immediately asked his assistant to track down Lisa's whereabouts. Meanwhile, Ethan had already received word that Joel was trying to find Lisa. "Lisa, my assistant told me Joel's looking for you. What do you want to do?" Ethan left the decision entirely to her. At first, Lisa was confused by the news, then disgusted. "Why is he suddenly looking for me? Isn't he head over heels with Zoe? I heard they had a falling out," Ethan said as he pulled Lisa into an embrace. Lisa scoffed, clearly annoyed. "So he breaks up with Zoe and comes running back to me? What am I, the convenient backup?" She couldn't understand how she'd ever been foolish enough to chase after a man like that for 7 years. Ethan knew Lisa had lost her memory, but that didn't stop the knot of unease forming inside him. He was afraid. What if Lisa regained her memories and went back to Joel? Lisa saw through Ethan's worries and gently reassured him. "Don't worry, I've seen his true colors. No matter how he tries to win me back, I'll never be with him again." That promise eased Ethan's fears considerably. "Then how about we go travel for a while?" Lisa didn't want to risk running into Joel, so she agreed to Ethan's idea. When Joel finally arrived at Lisa's home, he found himself inexplicably nervous, rehearsing what he wanted to say in his mind before knocking. But it wasn't Lisa who opened the door, it was her mother. Mrs. Su. The moment she saw Joel, her expression darkened. She recognized him instantly and tried to shut the door, but Joel quickly blocked it. Auntie, Lisa. He didn't even get to finish before Mrs. Su cut him off coldly. You still have the nerve to ask about Lisa? She's doing just fine now. We're very happy with Ethan. Joel opened his mouth to explain, but Mrs. Su slammed the door in his face with a final, scathing remark. Stop pestering Lisa. Left standing in front of the closed door, Joel was at a loss. He wanted to ask where Lisa was, but now he had no excuse to knock again. With no choice, Joel returned to City J, empty-handed. Nicole took one look at her brother's despondent state and guessed right away that he must have hit a wall at Lisa's home. Did you see her? She asked. Joel shook his head. Nicole considered telling him where Lisa had gone, but the memory of how much Lisa had suffered held her back. She thought maybe it was better this way. If Joel had to struggle to win Lisa back, maybe he'd finally learn to truly cherish her. Thinking this, Nicole said, Lisa used to chase after you all the time and you didn't value her. Now that she's really done with you, you're learning what it's like to be the one doing the chasing. Joel didn't argue. He just let Nicole scold him. She was right. This was what he deserved. He had been wrong. Joel spiraled into a slump for days. Zoe came looking for him a few times, but he turned her away every time. Seeing that Joel truly seemed to regret everything, Nicole finally gave in and told him, Lisa's back from her trip. The moment Joel heard that, he shot up, ready to head straight to City L to find her. Chapter 20. Joel rushed overnight to City L. As soon as he arrived at Lisa's neighborhood, he saw her walking out. Just as he was about to step forward and call out to her, he noticed Ethan beside her. The two were holding hands. Ethan said something that made Lisa laugh. That radiant smile on her face stunned Joel. He remembered how she used to smile at him like that, trailing behind him only now. That smile belonged to someone else. Joel didn't come out of hiding. Instead, he stayed concealed behind the bushes, watching them like a form of self-inflicted punishment, observing their intimacy in silence. He followed them all the way to another residential complex, where they entered a building together. Joel's self-control almost snapped. He was ready to run upstairs and confront them, but just as he was about to move, he saw Ethan come down alone and drive away. That calmed Joel slightly. He convinced himself it was all a show. Ethan couldn't be her real boyfriend. Lisa must be doing this just to provoke him. With that thought, Joel felt a flicker of hope. The next morning, he dressed carefully and bought a bouquet of flowers before heading to Lisa's door. Lisa had just gotten up when she heard the knock. Thinking it was Ethan, she opened the door while saying, "Why are you here so early today?" Seeing Joel at the door, she instinctively tried to shut it, but Joel quickly wedged his hand into the gap and pushed the bouquet toward her. Lisa didn't take the flowers. Instead, she glared at him coldly. "How do you know where I live? Have you been following me?" Joel didn't answer. Instead, he began to speak as if she hadn't asked anything. "Lisa, I was wrong before. I'm here to ask for your forgiveness." Lisa had no patience to hear his excuses and just wanted to slam the door. But Joel's strength was too much. Instead of closing, the door began to open wider under his push. At that moment, Ethan stepped out of the elevator. Seeing Joel at Lisa's door, he rushed over and pulled him away, shielding Lisa behind him. "Joel, what do you think you're doing?" Joel ignored Ethan and continued speaking directly to Lisa. "Lisa, I've broken up with Zoe. I was wrong before, but I've realized everything now. I've seen my true feelings clearly. You don't need to use Ethan to get back at me anymore." Lisa was appalled by Joel's shamelessness. "Joel, I'm with Ethan because he's a great person. I like him. It has nothing to do with you. I've already made it clear, we're done." But Joel refused to believe it. He stubbornly clung to the past, recounting how Lisa had once chased after him for years. Lisa couldn't take it anymore and finally snapped. "Joel, I've forgotten everything. Just let me go." Joel froze, his voice trembling. "Lisa, what do you mean you've forgotten everything?" "The day you left me for Zoe, I got into a car accident. I lost my memory. I forgot everything about you." Joel stared in disbelief. Aside from those 7 years, he had nothing left to tie her to him. "Didn't you hate me always being around you? Isn't this better? I've forgotten you. You'll never be bothered again." "No, Lisa, I didn't hate it. I loved you. I do. Joel stammered, overwhelmed with panic. Ethan, seeing Lisa had said her piece, pushed Joel aside. Joel, Lisa's made herself very clear. Don't come harassing my girlfriend again. Next time, I'll call the police. With that, Ethan shut the door, leaving Joel alone, dazed and defeated. Outside in the hallway. Chapter 21. Joel sat slumped by the door for a long time before finally standing up and speaking softly toward it. Lisa, if you recover your memory, will you come back to me? Joel firmly believed that as long as Lisa regained her memories, she would undoubtedly return to him. After all, Lisa had chased him for 7 years. How could she possibly let go just like that? Back in J City, Joel rummaged through his home for anything related to Lisa, hoping these items might help restore her memory. But after searching every corner, he found only a small sachet Lisa had made for him, tucked away in a box in the storage room. There was nothing else left. Joel asked the housekeeper, "Where are the other things Lisa gave me that were in the storage room before?" The housekeeper replied, "Didn't you ask us to throw them out, sir?" Hearing this, Joel waved his hand impatiently and continued searching, hoping to recover even a sliver of their past. Clutching the only item he could find, Joel rushed to L City. He waited an entire day outside Lisa's building before finally seeing her come out, together with Ethan. Not caring that Ethan was right beside her, Joel stepped forward and held out the sachet. "Lisa, do you remember this? You said at the time," but before he could finish, Lisa threw the sachet to the ground. "Joel, do you really think you can win me back with this? I've made myself clear, I don't remember anything. Let's not see each other again. Stop pestering me." Seeing Lisa's resolute expression, Joel tried to grab her hand to stop her from leaving, but Ethan, standing next to Lisa, immediately stepped in to block him. Anger surged in Joel, and he punched Ethan straight in the face. Ethan didn't hold back either and returned the punch. The two quickly got into a scuffle. Lisa rushed over and wrapped her arms around Ethan's waist, pulling him aside. "Ethan, stop fighting. Your lip is bruised." Ethan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and spat in Joel's direction. "If you harass Lisa again, I'll beat you every time I see you." Lisa held Ethan's hand and gently cupped his face with the other, carefully inspecting his injuries. "You've scraped the skin. I'll treat it when we get home." Joel watched their intimate interaction, and his heart ached with sharp pain. "Lisa." Lisa heard Joel call her name, but she didn't look back. She simply held Ethan's hand and walked toward home. Joel wanted to chase after them, but his legs felt unbearably heavy, as if rooted to the ground. In the end, he could only stand there, watching the two of them disappear into the distance. Back in college, Joel had once gotten into a fight with someone because of Zoe. At that time, Lisa had stood in front of him to protect him and tenderly treated his wounds, but he had brushed her off, annoyed, and pushed her away. What Ethan had now, Joel had once possessed. But it was he who had trampled on Lisa's sincerity. It was he who had personally pushed away the Lisa who once held no one else in her heart. Joel stood there in despair, unmoving even as night fell. Joel suddenly heard someone calling him. Thinking it was Lisa, he quickly looked up, only to see that it was Zoe. His expression immediately turned cold. "What are you doing here?" Zoe's eyes shimmered with tears as she looked at him with a pitiful expression. "Joel, I know I was wrong. Everything that happened before, it was my fault." As she spoke, Zoe reached out, trying to touch Joel's arm. Joel stepped away from her hand and stared at her with an icy gaze. Chapter 22. Joel suddenly stepped aside, and Zoe, caught off guard, stumbled forward and nearly fell to the ground. She looked up at him with pleading eyes. "Joel, I really know I was wrong. Weren't you the one who used to love me the most?" Hearing that only enraged Joel further. "You still have the nerve to bring up the past? I treated you so well, and you kept using me over and over." Seeing that even in this state Joel still wouldn't give her a shred of affection, Zoe snapped. "You think I'm shameless for mentioning the past. But what about you? How dare you bring up the past in front of Lisa? You think you're any better than me? You've been following me?" Joel asked, his voice sharp. Zoe let out a cold laugh. "Of course, otherwise, how else would I get to enjoy such a fantastic scene?" Joel, already reeling from Lisa's firm rejection, now faced Zoe's biting sarcasm. Rage exploded within him. He suddenly lunged forward and wrapped his hand around Zoe's neck. As Joel's grip tightened, Zoe's breathing grew labored, her face turning bright red. She struggled, but seeing no point in resistance, she suddenly let her hands drop and began to laugh, choking on her words. Hurting me won't change anything. You're the one who hurt Lisa again and again, not me. Her face drained of color, and she looked as if she might pass out. Joel finally released her, letting her collapse to the ground. Zoe gasped for air, clutching her throat, her whole body trembling. Joel looked down at her with cold indifference and threw out a single line. I'm going to expose everything you did to use me. That's the least I can do if I want even the slightest chance of making things right with Lisa. Zoe's face froze in terror. Panic surged in her eyes. She tried to crawl up, but her body, still weak from the fear of suffocation, wouldn't cooperate. Desperate, she grabbed at Joel's pant leg, pleading, "No, Joel, I didn't mean it. I was just upset. Please, don't do this." Joel looked down at her hand gripping him and found it revolting. Let go. Zoe clung tighter, convinced that if the truth came out, she would be utterly ruined. She clung to the last thread of hope, that Joel might still have pity for her. But he didn't. With a swift kick, he knocked her hand away and walked off without hesitation. Lying on the ground, Zoe stared at his retreating back, madness flickering in her eyes. Why? Why did Lisa deserve the love of two men while she was discarded like this? Her thoughts twisted further, poisoned by resentment and jealousy. Under her breath, she muttered, if Lisa were dead, would Joel come back to me? Meanwhile, Lisa had stayed home for 2 days straight, worried Joel might come to bother her again. Ethan, concerned she might grow too stressed cooped up inside, suggested they go out on a date. Lisa glanced at the bruise still visible on the corner of Ethan's mouth. The memory of Joel's shameless persistence flashed in her mind. She hesitated. What if he comes to bother us again? Ethan pulled her into his arms and gently kissed her on the cheek. It's okay, I'll protect you. Reassured by his words, Lisa finally agreed. Ethan brought her to a nearby shopping mall, but just as they were about to enter, they saw Joel again, relentless, like a shadow that wouldn't leave. Seeing him, the couple instinctively turned to leave, but Joel ran forward at full speed, trying to grab Lisa's hand. At that exact moment, a car suddenly sped out from the side and veered straight toward Lisa. Chapter 23. Lisa was frozen in place, stunned by the car speeding straight toward her. Joel and Ethan both saw the vehicle barreling toward Lisa. Shocked, they rushed forward, trying to pull her away. Lisa, get out of the way! Ethan shouted. Ethan was closer to her, and managed to yank Lisa aside. But the car was moving too fast. Both of them were still struck. Ethan shielded Lisa in his arms, and the two of them rolled aside before finally coming to a stop. Lisa's head hit the edge of a flower bed. Ethan held her tightly, his leg struck by the vehicle, and his arm injured during the fall. Ignoring the pain in his leg and arm, Ethan frantically checked on Lisa in his arms. Seeing that her head was bleeding and she had lost consciousness, he shouted urgently to the bystanders, "Call an ambulance, now!" Joel also ran over, trying to check on Lisa, but Ethan, using the last of his strength, pushed him aside. Ethan yelled at Joel, "Why don't you go see what Zoe's just done?" In that life-or-death moment, Ethan had seen clearly, it was Zoe driving the car. Joel turned toward the vehicle, and only then did he realize Zoe was the one in the driver's seat. Zoe had crashed the car into Ethan and Lisa, and the vehicle had slammed into another flower bed. The airbags had all deployed, and smoke was billowing from the engine. Joel rushed to the car and yanked Zoe out. She, too, had suffered a head injury from the crash and was semi-conscious when pulled out. But Joel didn't care. He pushed her hard to the ground. You actually dared to do something like this. If anything happens to Lisa, I swear I won't let you off. In the distance, the wails of police sirens and ambulances were quickly approaching. When Lisa regained consciousness, she was already in the hospital. Staring at the ceiling above her, she was momentarily confused. After a while, she began struggling to sit up. A nurse nearby saw her movement and hurried over to stop her. Lisa grabbed the nurse's arm and asked anxiously, "Where's Ethan? How is he?" The nurse quickly tried to soothe her. "He was brought in with you. He's in the room next door. Is he okay?" Was he badly hurt? Lisa was so worried she was nearly in tears, her voice trembling. He's fine, just a broken leg and some scrapes, nothing life-threatening. But Lisa couldn't relax until she saw Ethan with her own eyes. Despite the nurse's attempts to stop her, Lisa insisted on seeing him. Just as the two were at a standoff, the door opened. Ethan was wheeled in by a nurse. Seeing he was okay, Lisa threw her arms around him and sobbed. "I'm just glad you're all right." Ethan gently patted her head to comfort her. "The doctor said you have a mild concussion. You need to stay in bed and avoid getting too emotional." He coaxed Lisa back to bed, then maneuvered his wheelchair beside her to keep her company. "Lisa!" The hospital room door opened again, and Joel walked in carrying a bag of health supplements, his face full of concern. Ethan and Lisa both frowned at the sight of him. "Get out!" Lisa snapped, pointing at Joel. Joel placed the items to the side and tried to explain. "I didn't know what Zoe was planning." Before he could finish, Lisa hurled the items he brought right at him. Joel didn't dodge. He just stood there, letting her throw them. "Lisa, if doing this will help you forgive me, then go ahead. Hit me however you want." But Lisa just sneered coldly. "Joel, do you seriously think acting a little pitiful in front of me will earn my forgiveness? Do you really believe a few half-hearted apologies can make up for the 7 years of humiliation I endured?" Chapter 24. Hearing Lisa mention the 7 years, Joel became agitated and stepped forward. "Lisa, you got your memory back?" At that moment, Ethan glanced at Lisa nervously. He wasn't sure whether the few months they had shared could compare to the 7 years she had spent entangled with Joel. Lisa noticed Ethan's unease. She reached out and held his hand, then turned to Joel. "Yes, I remember everything now. But Joel, what makes you think I'd ever go back? In those 7 years, did you ever show me the slightest bit of warmth? Even the keepsakes you brought to help me remember were things I gave you, things I shamelessly forced into your hands. Did you ever cherish our memories?" Joel was struck speechless by her questions. Lisa continued, her voice calm but resolute. "7 years, you got tired, and I got exhausted. Now, I've found someone I want to spend the rest of my life with. Please, let me go." It wasn't just rejection, it was a quiet, heartfelt plea. "I'm sorry." Joel left the hospital room after that, fleeing like a man with nothing left. Back in the room, Ethan turned to Lisa, his voice a mix of hope and hesitation. "Lisa, the person you said you want to spend your life with, is that me?" Lisa's grip on his hand tightened, her gaze unwavering. "Yes, Ethan. Lisa, want to spend my life with you." Meanwhile, just outside the room, Joel was met with a figure he hadn't expected, Zoe. Her hair was a tangled mess, her face pale and drawn, nothing like the woman she once was. She clutched at Joel's sleeve like it was her last lifeline. "Joel, I can't go to jail. I can't go to jail." Joel had already released all the evidence of Zoe's plagiarism and manipulations. Everything she'd done had backfired, destroying both her and the Sun Group's reputation. She'd been fired from Sun Group, was being ripped apart online, and now, after the deliberate car crash, she was under formal investigation. A prison sentence loomed. Desperate, Zoe had come to Joel, hoping he would help, beg Lisa for a letter of forgiveness. Joel looked down at the trembling hand on his sleeve, and one by one, pried her fingers off. "Please, Joel, I'm begging you. I didn't mean to kill her. I was just impulsive. I never meant to." Joel shoved her to the ground. "Save it for the police." With that cold line, he severed her last shred of hope. Zoe collapsed to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Lisa later learned about Zoe's final downfall from Ethan. "Joel came looking for you a few days ago," he said one afternoon. Lisa raised a brow in confusion. Why bring him up all of a sudden? Their life had been quiet lately. Joel had respected her words and hadn't shown up again. Since Lisa regained her memory and reaffirmed her love for him, Ethan had let go of all jealousy and rivalry. He just smiled. "He told me everything's been dealt with. Zoe's behind bars." Then, after a pause, Ethan added with a wry smile, "He also said, he spent 7 years trampling on your love. Now it's his turn to chase you." Lisa didn't even try to hide her disgust. She made a gagging gesture in Ethan's direction. They both burst out laughing. "Lisa, you really don't love him anymore?" Ethan asked, his voice light but sincere. Lisa planted a kiss on his cheek and said, "I've answered that question so many times. Let me give you one final answer. Lisa, now and always, only loves Ethan." At her words, Ethan suddenly dropped to one knee and pulled out a ring. "I know this is a bit sudden for a proposal, but I can't wait anymore. Lisa Sue, will you marry me?" There was no audience, no fanfare, just the pounding of Lisa's heart in her chest. But in that quiet moment, a voice inside her screamed with certainty, "Say yes, I will." Chapter 25. Ever since Joel returned from City L, he had spiraled into a state of despair, locking himself in his apartment, drinking day and night. When Nicole opened the door, the heavy stench of alcohol forced her to take a step back. After a moment, she pinched her nose and walked in. Joel was sitting on the floor, leaning against the sofa. When he saw someone enter, a flicker of hope lit up in his eyes. But when he saw it was Nicole, that hope quickly faded. "Bro, stop drinking," Nicole said, snatching the bottle from his hand. Joel grabbed another bottle and took a big swig. "What are you doing here?" Nicole kicked him, annoyed, "Afraid you'll drink yourself to death." Though her words were harsh, Nicole still felt heartache for her brother and made him a bowl of hangover soup. Joel looked at the soup she handed him but didn't take it. Nicole placed the bowl on the coffee table. "I got the recipe from Lisa." Joel's eyes finally stirred at the mention of Lisa's name. He picked up the soup and took a sip. The familiar taste brought tears to his eyes. The salt of his tears mixed into the bowl as he drank every last drop. "Can you help me talk to Lisa for me? I really messed up. I really did." Joel began sobbing as he spoke. Nicole had once promised Lisa she wouldn't interfere in matters between her and Joel anymore, and she was about to refuse. But when she looked at the pale, despondent, utterly defeated Joel in front of her, she couldn't bring herself to say no. Nicole sighed. "I'll try to find out how Lisa feels." Just as she got home and was about to call Lisa, her phone rang. It was Lisa calling. "Lisa, what's up?" "Nicole, I'm getting married. I want to ask you to be my bridesmaid." Back when Lisa was still pursuing Joel, she had once told Nicole that when she married Joel, she wanted Nicole to be her bridesmaid. Although her groom wasn't Joel anymore, Nicole still remembered the promise. Nicole was so stunned by the news of Lisa's wedding that she couldn't speak for a moment. "Nicole? Nicole?" It wasn't until Lisa called her name that Nicole snapped out of it. "Of course. Lisa, if you're getting married, I'll definitely be your bridesmaid." Nicole swallowed back the words she had intended to say on Joel's behalf. Though she tried hard to sound normal, Lisa could still sense something was off in her tone. "Nicole, is there something you wanted to tell me?" Nicole hesitated for a moment before replying. "No, just wondering, when's the wedding?" Nicole figured Lisa must have found someone who truly loved her. After everything Lisa had suffered from her brother, she had finally found happiness. As a good friend, Nicole believed she should give her blessing. As for her brother, well, that was a lesson he'd have to learn about misjudging people. When Nicole returned to Joel's place, he couldn't wait to ask, "What did Lisa say?" "She's getting married." Nicole saw Joel's straight back suddenly collapse. Like all the life had been drained out of him, he looked utterly crushed. "Bro, Lisa's already moved on. You should too." Joel didn't respond. He just stayed silent. The day before Nicole left for City L, Joel found her and handed her a small jewelry box. "I made this comb myself. Give it to her as a wedding gift." There was no need to say who her was. "I'll pass it to her." "No, don't tell her it's from me." Joel paused for a moment. "If she knows I made it, she won't accept it." Nicole said nothing more and took the box. Before the ceremony, Nicole handed the gift to Lisa. "A wedding gift for you. Wishing you a lifetime of happiness." Lisa opened the box and found a handmade sandalwood comb. She froze for a moment, then handed it back. "Joel asked you to give this to me, didn't he?" Nicole hadn't expected her to guess. Back then, making handmade gifts for people you liked had been a trend. Lisa had once made a scented sachet and begged Joel to accept it. She never dared to hope he'd make her something. She would have been happy with just a store-bought comb. Now, the gift she had dreamed of receiving had ended up in her hands through such a twist of fate. It felt a bit ironic. "I'm getting married. It's not appropriate to accept this. Please return it to him." Nicole sighed and put the comb away. With Nicole's help, Lisa put on her wedding dress. She walked down the aisle, escorted by Mr. Sue, toward Ethan. Lisa is yours now. Take good care of her. Ethan, holding Lisa's hand, had tears in his eyes. I will. The ceremony proceeded smoothly and in order. Will the bride and groom please exchange rings? As Ethan leaned in to kiss Lisa, he caught a glimpse of Joel standing in the farthest corner of the banquet hall. Their eyes met. Ethan gave a slight nod in Joel's direction while holding Lisa's hand. Joel's mouth was full of bitterness as he turned and left the wedding hall. Everyone must pay for their mistakes. He could no longer be the one to spend his life with Lisa. Ethan, did you just greet someone? It's nothing, just someone unimportant. Lisa set her thoughts aside and looked at the man in front of her. Their fingers interlocked, and under the gaze of family and friends, she kissed the person who was truly her happiness.